Welcome. This webcast is funded by the U.S. Department of Education, Rehabilitation Services Administration. The ideas, opinions, and conclusions expressed do not represent recommendations, endorsements, or policies of the U.S. Department of Education. My name is Ciara Ladroma with Griffin-Hammis Associates. This webcast is titled Women in Tech. We'll be sharing space with the founder of Becoming Rentable, Lorraine Woodward, Ambassador and team member Bernadette Scarduzio, and vocational rehabilitation counselor Linda Barnes. We will be using this time together to share a PowerPoint as well as open conversation. So ladies, thank you so much for being here. Let's jump into it. Lorraine, do you want to go ahead and start your presentation?
Absolutely. I will share my screen. All right, here we go. First up is Bernadette. Bernadette, would you like to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Bernadette Scarduzio, and I work for the Hereditary Neuropathy Foundation, which is a nonprofit for Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease, which is what I have, which is my disability. And I'm also a certified personal trainer. It's been over 20 years. I've been training part-time, and now I do aqua physical therapy because it's easier for me being in a chair now. And in 2013, there was a documentary released about my life. I was filmed for 4.5 years. And so people still reach out to me to this day. They watch the documentary. It's called Bernadette. And it kind of just gave me a baseline to where, I could help advocate for my illness and for the disability community. And with CMT being progressive, it kind of pushed me into that spot where now I'm in a chair and I had to learn how to navigate my life with a disability, not being able to use my legs and nor my hands. And I recently became the ambassador for Becoming Rentable. And I'm super excited to be here and to share my story and my experience with the OVR and with everybody here. So thanks for having me.
I'm Lorraine Woodward, and I am the founder and CEO of Becoming Rentable. I'm also known as mom. I'm also known as a wife. I have 2 boys who also have muscular dystrophy, who are growing up way too fast, who are now adult men at 27 and 29. Disability has been a way of life for me, and I began my advocacy back in the day when you would have carnivals for like muscular dystrophy. And I never gave it up. I continue to be an advocate today. Like Bernadette, I'm an ambassador, but I'm with the Muscular Dystrophy Association. We got into the short-term rental industry more out of personal need of our family. There's 3 of us with muscular dystrophy, and traveling was quite difficult. So we ended up building a short-term rental, and we've had over 450 families tell us the same story in how difficult it is to find an accessible short-term rental. And that's how Becoming Rentable got started. So I was asked to tell a little bit about Becoming Rentable, which I love to. We are a listing platform. So currently in the short-term rental space, disability is new to this industry. And as I experienced firsthand about our family's needs and heard about so many others' families' needs, we created a listing site where you can find accessible short-term rental properties for those of us with mobility needs. And that's not only a wheelchair, but for walker, crutches, and canes. And in the last few months, we've also included a certification program for properties that reach our cognitive community of autism and dementia and mental health issues. This year, we hope to expand our certification programs to vision, hearing, and our seniors. What Becoming Rentable has become is a bridge of lodging options. Historically, you would go to hotels, you would go to maybe camping grounds, And now you can go to a short-term rental, which now equals 49 to 50% of our lodging options. So we're about half and half hotel industry and short-term rental. Another unique aspect of becoming rentable is the broadness of what we're trying to do. Historically, in the lodging community, lodging is considered primarily hotel and for only wheelchairs. And so we've been able to broaden that. And as a baby boomer who will be in the senior community in 2030, our senior population will be growing by 32 million. And so you will see a continued focus in reaching the needs of all of us with disabilities at some point in time. By the aging process alone, we may exhibit features of vision or cognitive issues, visual issues, and would like a place to stay for a vacation or even a work assignment. Bernadette and I got to meet one another as we were starting to work together with different organizations. And Bernadette was recommended as a great resource for becoming rentable. And it was within minutes that I'm like, this is my girl. This is somebody, you know how you can relate to people and it's like, I got you, she got me. And we met and she's been an ambassador. Our very first ambassador, I would have to say too. We have 11 ambassadors. In fact, one of our ambassadors from South Africa is at my house today. So that's really cool. He just got back from Arkansas, doing some content development for Arkansas State Parks. And our ambassadors really are, looking at sharing their stories about how disability has impacted their lives and what the needs they have when they want to travel. So many times we can't understand the needs of people with disabilities until we experience it ourselves. So Bernadette is very gracious in sharing her story and being an advocate for those who would like to travel but haven't been able to because of the lack of access. And so we're really excited that Bernadette's a part of our organization, helping us grow, tell our story. When I was approached about this video, I was going back and going, all right, what's my story on vocational rehabilitation? Now, back in the 80s is when I was really introduced to it. So it's, I'm 62. So I come back from probably the beginning of the department days. I don't know when you all started, but I do remember Voc Rehab, and I thought that it really wasn't a resource that would have impacted me. And I didn't know who to call. I didn't know who to reach out to. So I didn't for the longest time. And then when I got into college, one of my counselors had recommended that I reach out to Voc Rehab. And I did, but I don't know that I was at that time. I don't know if I wasn't the right person or the services were limited. I felt like I didn't have a level of intellect that they were looking for, maybe somebody that didn't have a college degree. In my 80s and having muscular dystrophy, I was still able to walk. I might have had a gait when I walked. Actually, I know I did because somebody would ask me a lot, Lorraine, when's your baby due? And I'm 100 pounds, a size 0, but because of the way I walked, people thought, oh, you must be pregnant. I wasn't, but I didn't feel like there were services, and nor was I invited to participate in any activities. And in talking with Bernadette, I'm amazed at the services, Bernadette, that you've received, and how it's such a surface that is more top of mind. How did you find out about your services?
Yeah, so I was with my physical therapist a couple years ago, and I was telling her, I would love to set up my spare room as an office. I'm thinking about getting a desk. I was telling her about the desk to go up and down. And I was like, I just got to wait, save some money. And she's like, well, do you know about OVR? And it's a program. So I didn't. And she told me that every state has, vocational rehabilitation. If you have a job, you qualify. And I was like, yes, I took the info right away. And I met with Linda. I'll never forget. We met at the library. She can't, you know, as soon as I introduced myself, told her what I was looking for, I emailed her, and she got right back to me. We met in person. It was great. She told me right away, like, you know, we can, I couldn't even believe it. I was like, wait. She's like, you know, we can give you a desk and help you with all the adaptive equipment that's out there now, and a computer. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, this is, yeah, I mean, she's like, pretty much anything that you would need to work, which would be everything that I have in front of me. She's like, and anything that would help, even while you're sitting there, like a chair that has massage to it, or heat. So I was just like blown away by, right off the bat, by all the services that were recommended. She said it does take time, you have to have patience, and, you know, we went through the steps, and, you know, it was great. I'm thrilled, I'm grateful, I'm happier, like I'm more efficient at my job. And Linda was great to work with. I didn't really have any problems, except for just time, you know. There were some things that you just had to wait for, that took some extra time, but I would always, Linda's like, Bern, I'm so sorry, you know, you have to wait a few more weeks for a piece of equipment. And I said, it's okay. I'm like, I feel like it's like a gift. So I don't mind waiting. And I think that's important for people to understand, that it's something that, you know, it takes, it's a process, but you have to, you know, once you start it, it's worth it.
Was there anything that you had to do, like, to prove that you had a disability, or were physically, like, I was still walking when I approached Voc Rehab in the 80s. Were you already in a wheelchair, or did you have to do, like, go to the doctor's office and, you know, have them sign something?
No, so I was already in a chair. I've been in a chair for 15 years now. So I met Linda 3 years ago, and 2021 it was. And she knew my situation. She basically said, you have to have a job. As long as you have a job, you qualify. And I was like, all right, done. I worked for the Hereditary Neuropathy Foundation, which I've been with them for over 10 years, and I never knew about this. I mean, it just blows my mind. I've had a job with the HNF for so long, and these resources were available to me. So I like the fact that I'm doing this, because I can help other people in my situation, or even family members or friends that know somebody that has a disability, but that wants to continue and work and do the best that they can at their work, and they can't afford some of the really expensive equipment that is out there right now. You know, you have to keep up with technology, and it's expensive. So I'm very grateful.
I don't want to take over the meeting, but now I have a question, Linda. I have a question for you, because I have 2 boys with muscular dystrophy, 27, 29. One is finishing up school. He works. He's a PhD candidate. So he works at at school, and Alexander works for Becoming Rentable. But they're struggling in getting in and out of chairs. My husband lifts them a lot, or somebody else will lift them. Because they're employed, does that make them qualified for, you like, chairs, or the stand-up desk seems to be the big hot item that both of the boys talk about?
Yeah, so OVR in Pennsylvania, we help those that are employed and need equipment or different things to maintain employment, but we also help with obtaining employment. So you don't have to be employed when you apply to OVR. You just have to have a disability that impacts your ability to get a job or keep a job. And so when it comes to different things like wheelchairs, assistive technology that Bernadette was referring to earlier, everything that we do is revolving around employment and revolving around making sure that those services are going to allow for that person to complete the essential functions of the job. And so with the 2 boys that you're mentioning now, if new chairs are necessary, we look at comparable benefits in addition to what we can offer, but those are certainly 2 things that they could potentially be eligible for. I will always use potentially eligible and not make any promises, because of course we want to work through the process before we're allocating services or saying that something, but those are things that OVR can provide as part of our restorative services.
So Bernadette, here are only a few of the many photographs that Bernadette has shared. So Bernadette, do you want to go through all of this?
Sure. So I have my new laptop that I'm using right now, the MacBook Pro, and I got to pick everything out. I picked out this, the screen size, 16 inches. I have my wireless headphones that are sitting on top of them, which I am not using right now. I don't use them all the time, but they do come in handy. They're great. They're wireless, synced up real quickly. They're very, very easy to slide right on. And my massaging desk chair. That's actually to the side right now because I'm pulled up in my scooter, but that they gave me a chair that massages and heats up, which is amazing for when, I'm sitting for a long time. I have a wireless keyboard. I have a foot massager for under my desk for when I, again, am sitting here for too long and my feet feel like they just need some sort of movement. It helps a lot. My glass ALS is my favorite device. That is the little use technology hands-free. You can use your eyes or that blue thing that I have that in the picture, that blue round button is what I have. And you just literally have to touch it. You can even just wave your hand over it and it'll help with the mouse control. So it makes using the computer a lot easier. I have my mini round light table that helps with lighting for my Zoom calls. And, these are all things that we talked about and I didn't just ask for. I said, what about, my desk? Can we get a desk that goes up and down? So if I pull up in my wheelchair, that's a different height than my scooter, I'll be able to just go. Like I'm looking for flow and something easy. I don't want to have to hit walls when I go into my office. I wouldn't just be able to go in. So they said, well, what about the desks that go all the way up and all the way down? And I got it and I love it. I was able to pick out the color. I picked out the corner piece. I could have literally got anything I wanted. And I couldn't believe that, like, being able to just, design and choose what I want. And I'm just so happy with everything that I picked and I'm thriving using it all. It's really neat.
What's the thing on your arm in the
So
picture?
that is part of the glass house. So you could attach that. It comes with it comes with like a strap you can put on your arm, your leg, or even people sometimes wrap it around their head because you can attach glasses to it. But this is basically the device that is Bluetooth to help with the mouse. You really don't even have to touch your computer. You can use your eyes, they have glasses for it, they have the pads for them, but this is for the glass house, it's called. And it just makes life really easy.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So what else, Bernadette, would you like to talk
And
about?
with my car,
Ideas.
so the big thing with I waited for quite some time and it was well worth the wait was my car. So when I was working with Linda, she said, I told her, I said, I'm in the process of getting a new car. My van, I grew out of it. Their seat wasn't accessible for me. My hand controls were not electric, so they were hard. It was just wear and tear on my body. So long story short, I didn't even know that Linda said, well, do you travel for work? And I said, yes, and not all the time, but I do. And she said, we can actually help, OVR can help with your accessible car. So I was again blown away. And she said, there's, another department for that. I'm going to get you in touch with, somebody else from there. And I worked with, a couple people. Linda, what was her name? That worked with me to help.
Yeah, so in terms of like how our office is organized, we cannot be experts in everything. So we have supervisors that are allocated to different services that are kind of our go-to experts, and Nastia is the person in our office who oversees driving and car modification.
Yeah, so Navia, she was awesome. She helped me through the whole process of first I had to find a car, which I did. I found an SUV 2022 Chevy Traverse at Team Toyota. Team Toyota has a lot of all accessible vans and cars. And they're here in Glen Mills, PA, which is close to my house. It was perfect. It worked out. And they also paid for my new script. So I had to first get my driving script, which was through Brand Driving School. And I think that was like $500 or $600. That was sponsored through OVR. They came out, the driving school. You know, we had to get a script to find out exactly what hand controls I need, what kind of parking reversed, mechanisms I would need. So went through all that. I went back to OVR with the price and it was approved and all the parts were shipped. I mean, it was awesome. Like watching everybody doing it together, OVR team working with Team Toyota for the car, and then Brand Driving School. Everything was very organized. I felt like, everyone knew each other. It's like they'd done this before. It was very easy. And the process was great. I met with Brand Driving School when I picked up my car. My mom and my stepdad came and we all met there. We took pictures and I was driving and it was amazing. It's such a difference driving with the new hand controls 2024. I mean, everything's electronic. The car drives differently. Even the ramp that comes out, my old ramp was in the car. This one is hidden under the floor, and they just improved a lot of stuff. Just make life easier for us with disabilities that want to go out. And I'm just very grateful. I've had the car for about 6 weeks now, and I've been at my mom's, I've gone out to dinner, I've visited friends. I actually went to a friend's house that I was never in her house before. And when I pulled up, she was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're here." And I did have a car all these years, but it was like, you have a new car and it was like, I got to stop over. And she's one of my best friends. And I never been inside of her house. And because it's not accessible, she's like, "I'm taking you in." Grabs her husband, "Come pick up Bern." So I get out of the car, they pick me up, they take me in the house. And I was like, wow, I'm like, I haven't done this in so long. It was such a great feeling to just, be out and by myself and feel safe. And everything's just so high tech and easy. And I don't even know how to thank them. I could send them cards and, I want to take Linda out to lunch. I just feel like it's just so much work and so much time and energy. And I'm very grateful. And I'm loving it. I'm thriving, especially coming out of the pandemic. That was really hard on me, being disabled as it is. And then, I have anxiety and, feeling like, I'm going to get sick or other people are going to get me sick. It was really hard on me. So coming out of that, fresh and now having this new car, having my house, more adapted for me. I feel like it's a fresh start, and I want to share that with people that are in my situation. I want people with disabilities to know that there is help out there, and where there's a will, there's a way. Don't give up. Every state's different, and not everybody's gonna have a Linda like I feel like I'm very fortunate. But there is help out there, and these people that work for OVR, I feel like they do it for a reason, and they want to help us, for whether it's personal or not, or if it just could just be their calling. I just feel like that they take it to the next level. So I'm super, super grateful and excited.
You can tell, Bernadette, look at you smiling.
For real.
So Linda, I feel like I'm being a moderator here. I don't know. I'm going, okay, good. Well, I'll just continue to talk. I have a lot of questions, like, how did you even begin to help Bernadette? I know she says like it takes time, but you know, what are those important points that as a counselor that to share with others? I know it's very different today than it was 40 years ago. That's hard to believe, 40 years ago. We won't even go there. It's actually 45 years ago. But again, I'm just really curious coming from the counselor perspective of what Bernadette has gone through and what you've helped her with that's important to keep people employed, getting people to build those skills to be marketable.
Sure. So OVR is a state agency, and anytime that you're utilizing federal and state funds, those things are going to be pretty well regulated through policy, which can sometimes lead to some delays and some other things that we deal with kind of on the back end. But in terms of the role of an OVR counselor, I think what I appreciate about what Bernadette is saying is a lot of times people are they may not be aware of us as a resource. So I'm glad that we are able to spread this awareness. And even if they are aware of us as a resource, there may be some misconceptions about what services we can provide and what eligibility factors look like. So I think what's really great about these types of abilities to kind of promote how OVR has been beneficial is, just kind of going from a broad perspective. Again, we help folks with disabilities obtain and maintain employment, and all of our services are going to be directed towards helping that person reach that goal. So in Bernadette's case, when she was referred and we met, during our first meeting, we're kind of getting the lay of the land. Who is Bernadette? What does she do? What are her gifts? What are her limitations? What does she need to be successful in employment? And, just kind of gathering all of that information so that you can kind of start formulating in your head what's going to be necessary on a plan for that person. Bernadette's a little bit different because she came to us already employed. So, but at that time, Bernadette, I believe you were using an iPad and your phone primarily to be able to, do the different functions. And those, what's wonderful about technology, Lorraine, you kept referencing 40 years ago. Yes, things change all the time. And OVR is constantly evolving new policies, new technology, new procedures as we adapt to what the needs of people with disabilities are. And disability is a big, broad definition, right? It's not just physical disabilities, it's mental health, it's chronic illness. There's a lot of folks that we're serving. And so we need to be able to have services that are adaptable to be able to assist those people, in addition to community partnerships. So when Bernadette and I first met and we kind of assessed what the first thing was going to be addressed, which was, the equipment at home so that she was able to effectively do her job, we were like, okay, we need an assisted technology evaluation to see, kind of what you have to do, what are your job functions, and what equipment and technology is out there. So part of what I'm hoping to do during this part is just kind of talk about maybe some of the misconceptions that OVR may have in the community, and then kind of give an overview of what services can look like, and then talk a little bit about how that's come into Bernadette's particular situation. So OVR is a state agency that uses both federal and state monies to be able to assist individuals with disabilities in obtaining, so getting a job, but also maintaining an employment. And so when Bernadette and I first met, that first session is to gather information, figure out what her strengths are, figure out what needs for support she has, figure out what documentation I need to get regarding her disability to make her eligible, and then just kind of get a feel and build that therapeutic relationship too, because work is a highly personal thing. And when you throw disability into the mix, that's even more highly personal, because we're talking about not just, how you're making your bread and butter, But also, you know, when you say, I'm an ambassador for Rentable, people are making judgment calls about you. So work is a very important part of somebody's life, and making sure that they have what they need, but also making sure that getting access to those services is done in a caring way, but also from a counseling perspective, making sure that we're steering people in the right direction and that we're using our expertise as a means to be able to guide them in their career path that helps and makes the most sense. So, so in terms of Bernadette, she already came to us with a job, but our situation was she's got an iPad and an iPhone, which are great devices, but it's not going to be the most effective use for her to be able to do her job, making calls, sending emails, Zoom meetings, all of those things. Bernadette has a very forward-facing kind of situation. So we did an assistive technology evaluation with one of our local community partners, and they then provided us with a list of technology that she needed in order to do her job functions. Those things were then purchased, and they also helped Bernadette learn how to use those things and set up those things. That's the very expedited version, but the truth of the matter is that probably took, goodness, Bernadette, months, right, to get approved and get everything set up and get everything, you know, purchased. And can we do it this way? No, we need to do it that way. So just making sure and emphasizing, Bernadette, thank you so much for having patience in addition to a sparkling personality. It takes a little while for these things to happen, and it takes a little while to be able to determine what's needed. And so so that'll be, you know, obviously imperative, but also coming with an open mind. And so after we were able to purchase those things, the next thing was this car that she was using. Bernadette's condition is something that's progressive. So understanding that, we also have to take that into account with the type of technology that we're purchasing on her behalf. Because if her disability is progressive, we want to make sure that as it's progressing, the technology is still able to be adaptive to what her needs are, in addition to her car. So Bernadette, I believe when you were working with Nasia, the hand controls and things that you had before were pretty cool 10 years ago, but currently it just wasn't a great fit, you had some difficulty, and the nature of your job is to be out and about. You're an out and about on the town kind of gal. So we were able to assist with figuring out what she would need, be able to make recommendations on the particular vehicle that would be able to handle the prescription of the adaptive equipment that she needed. And then once that vehicle was purchased, be able to install that. So now she can go visit her BFF, but also be in the community as much as she is. So in Bernadette's case, we provided those two essential services so that she's able to complete her job duties at home, in addition to be able to meet with clients out in the community. And then now that she's had those two services, we've completed our goal. Bernadette's able to now do her job more effectively, more efficiently, and she's able to get out in the community with those other, you know, with the newly adapted vehicle. So then we look at case closure because we've met our goal. OVR is not a lifelong service. We want to get people employed, and we want to, you know, make sure that they're stable, and if no further services are necessary, we close the case as successful. Now, you can always come back to OVR if something changes. Let's say your disability progresses quicker, or there is new technology, or, you know, your vehicle's now 10 years old and we need to look at maybe a new prescription. As long as everything is related to work, because that's what vocational rehabilitation is for, we do.
Well, it's interesting.
So I hope that sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, it's really interesting to hear about your perspective about the services. I actually, Bernadette, you and I haven't talked about this, but Bernadette has been with Becoming Rentable for over a year now. And so I met Bernadette before she had all the technology she had, and we would identify maybe tasks or videos or content. And you're smirking, Bernadette, because she would stall about, I'll get it to you. I'll get it to you. But ever since she's got this new technology in her office, her drive to move her skills forward has like increased by 300%. You know, the confidence that Bernadette now has is vastly different than it was a year ago, Bernadette. And now you're bugging me going, Lorraine, you know, when can I have that meeting? And I'm like, Cheryl, just a minute. But I mean, I love what you as a counselor and other counselors can do once you identify these needs. And as a woman-owned business, as a person with a disability, and looking at the hospitality, you know, Bernadette has so many skills that now she has confidence. She's had those skills. She didn't have maybe the technology. She did not have the confidence to now use those skills. And now she does. And you can't put a price on that. But I do encourage any counselor that's watching this video to know the impact. Bernadette is one person, and I know that many, many more people can have that same impact because of it. So Bernadette, we haven't talked about it, but I do smile a lot because you're in your office and you're ready to get going, and you are getting going. I mean, it's not even that I think you're way more productive.
Yeah, even my H&F, they gave me a raise. I have a little bit more of a work load, which is awesome. Becoming Rentable is going to be hiring me soon because I'm going to be getting them some certified properties. So I feel like, you know, and 10 years ago, it was easier for me to use the computer. But there came a time where, like, the last few years, I was like, I was literally using, like, and I'm like shaking at, like, for hours like this on my phone, having to work and then do my personal, it was too much. It hurt my back. I was like sitting in my chair or in my bed, and I didn't want to be in my bed, but like, it was hard. So I feel like it was a blessing. My physical therapist at the time was like, you know, I wasn't a very outgoing kind of person, but, you know, every couple of years or so, I have to think, okay, I have to readjust because my hands are getting worse, or the pain levels are getting worse, or things are just harder. Things just aren't as easy. Even, you know, I'm thinking even in a couple of years, like, I might have to look into redoing my bathroom because I don't know, you know, it's getting really hard for me to transfer. My bathroom's small, and there's just things like I look and I see what's out there. I'm like, oh my God, it'll be so much easier for me just to roll in the shower and not have to worry about transferring. And it's, you know, so Linda was like, well, you know, we can help you with that. So I'm like, oh my God, like, it took a lot of stress off of me as well. And I feel like as my family as well, like you know, my mom and my brother, and I feel like they felt like I was more taken care of, and, you know, they felt like I was being supported in ways that they just couldn't, you know. And it's like a whole thing. Like, my friends were so happy for me. People were coming over, like, telling me how beautiful my house looks. I mean, I painted, you know, it inspired me to want to, you know, paint my house and, you know, make it a little bit more comfortable for me. So thank you.
It's also, you know, it creates awareness for me as a small business owner, to knowing that when an individual gets the technology that they need, there are more employment opportunities, and not just traditional employment. I mean, Bernadette, you're a contractor. You are a self-employed individual who now has multiple contracts, one with us and one with your current employer. And so I think that Linda is such an important role for counselors to realize the impact. And, you know, it makes me proud of the work that I do with Becoming Rentable, that we have accessible short-term rentals so people can take on different assignments outside their home, because there are accessible places for them to go and to work, and to know that it isn't just technology that's increased, that changes all the time. It's things like, now, because of COVID, which was really hard, we have the benefit of working remotely. And, you know, for me, I work out of my house 7 days a week. I'm right here. I call it my hobbit hole, but I love my job. I'm happy, but I have the technology to allow me to do that. And I think that it's a very exciting time to be in this space and see all these changes. And then the end result is Bernadette working and being happy.
I appreciate that, you know, work and earning an income help people feel capable, which increases confidence. Being able to be independent and being able to complete job duties when you have to rely on other people and you can actually do something yourself really help with that feeling of capability. And I think what's really great about your website, Lorraine, is you can't just hop in the car, go on Airbnb and head to, you know, Atlantic City. You have to think about and plan and allocate and be sure. And so I what I love about your website is you're bringing about awareness and you're helping people with disabilities become more independent in their travel, because Lord knows we need a vacation.
I agree. Thank you. Yes, we you know, and I've asked this a lot. It's all about living our best lives. And what is that best life for you? You know, for me, it is being able to work and to meet people, I don't like the word be inspired, but it's like, wow, you know, I can see my son working and being independent like Bernadette, if he's provided those tools that he needs to succeed. And tools are also the emotional tools, that confidence, that faith in yourself that you can do it. And then that's why Bernadette is an ambassador, because she has this experience that can impact others to go on vacation or go to work. And I'm thrilled to be a part of this video and share all of our skills and abilities. So thank you for that.
Yeah, so Lorraine, is there any additional slides that you wanted to share?
Which in particular, Bernadette A sent me enough slides.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that the presentation, at least for the slides, was complete. And then I would love to ask some questions to you and Bernadette regarding being women in tech.
Yes, all the slides are, and I clicked too many buttons here. Let me share that. No, the end slide was the very last slide.
Okay, excellent. So we could kind of finish off with this this question. It's so I believe there is an active change happening with the, let's say, the presence of women and females in general in the tech and travel industry. But a lot of people still believe that it is very much male-led. And so for the two of you, how are you navigating being leaders comparable to Airbnb, VRBO, Expedia? Like, you have created this platform that is going to not only last, but it's going to change the way people can live their best lives. Because I know, as someone who does not have a disability, I have people in my life that I love and care for that will benefit from becoming rentable. Yeah. I have shared this with you, Lorraine, previously, that if my grandma was still here with us, I would use becoming rentable to make sure that she was comfortable and safe, whether I was traveling with her or not. But it would be the lodging option. But what is your experience for the both of you as women in tech?
You know, for me, I look at women, and I don't actually look at the women in tech. I look at myself as an entrepreneur that is growing a business to create a social change. I look at the broadness of disability. I think the challenge for me is getting our story told. Also recognizing disability is not about wheelchairs only, and it's about crutches and canes and autism and dementia. and low vision and blindness and hearing and just life experience. It's so many times we talk about a niche population, and part of our story is that, we all have our abilities, our different abilities from birth. And some of us may be born with a disability or, later in life, 17, later in life, 47, 67. But at some point, disability will impact your life. And so how do we get that message and make it personal? That's part of the challenge. Oh, it's either I don't know it and I don't need to know it because it's not a part of my life. The greatest challenge in the hospitality field right now is not the gender aspect of working with men or women, but it is worried about the ADA and being sued. And in the ADA and short-term rental, there's actually a very small aspect of the law that pertains to the ADA. And it's also very gray. So it's trying to get clarity in that small fraction that impacts the short-term rental industry. But I was invited to ask these two podcast hosts, Lorraine, give us a challenging question. So I gave them a challenging question. And the question was, with America having 26% of our population being representative of disabilities, why is the short-term rental so reluctant to include features of accessibility? And the host came back to me and said, because we're afraid of being sued. And my question back to them is, are you afraid of being sued when your dishwasher's not working? Why are you afraid of being sued if an elevator doesn't work? Are you afraid of being sued when somebody brings a gallon of tequila to your place? But why are you afraid of being sued when somebody has a wheelchair comes to your place? There's really not, it's not equal. In fact, my renters, I always say I have the best renters. I have the best renters because they appreciate my properties that are accessible, that they can go on vacation. They can work in a different environment. They can have new memories, different experiences. And it also financially, pays for the property because I'm getting renters, right? And where my neighbor at the beach next door, she's had to replace her front door 3 times because drunken renters have come in and lost their keys and slammed and broken glass to enter the door. The amount of cleaning the carpets because of vomit, I've never dealt with in 15 years, but she deals with it multiple times every year. So it's very interesting to me, what the fears are and bringing about change in the hospitality field. And that's our greatest challenge is getting our story told, that there is a resource. If you have a disability and you would like to, and you're not able to stay in a traditional hotel, that we are a listing platform that evaluates and validates these properties so you can, pick a property with confidence that when you go there, it's going to meet your needs. And then the challenge is the industry and identifying, creating these properties and not understanding the importance of what an accessible short-term rental means.
Beautiful. Bernadette, do you have anything to add?
For women in tech,
Mhm.
I'm proud to be a part of it. I am, like I said, since the documentary came out in 2013, I have been advocating and putting myself out there and, going to colleges and speaking not only, about CMT, my illness, but just about the disability world and how we need to be more inclusive, more inclusive in Hollywood, more inclusive with traveling, more inclusive just to, when I go out, it's amazing the barriers that I run into. Still to this day, I have to ask for help a lot because, and strangers, because a lot of things aren't accessible. But things are changing and I'm proud to be a part of that. I'm proud to be, alongside with Lorraine, who is like a powerhouse. I feel like meeting her was a gift. She, to be so close with her and with becoming rentable and being a part of that, I feel like was like, it was meant to be. It was perfect timing. So, because she got to see what it was like for me before OVR and now having OVR, and, I'm going to help them and they're going to help me thrive. And I don't mind putting my face out there. I don't mind showing people, the raw, a truth of being disabled, and having, to go through that, that hard time where you want to give up. You're like, I don't know if I could do this. I can't afford it. I can't, so, I was once there. So it's really nice to be on the other side, and I'm just very grateful and proud to be a part of this, even this webinar. And I hope everybody takes home something, positive, at least from every one of us. So thank you for having me.
So Bernadette, Linda, and Lorraine, thank you so much for sharing space, time, and energy, and just your perspectives and your stories and knowledge. I believe that this webcast will inspire and inform, but will also change a lot of minds as well, right? Around employment and the services and resources that Voc Rehab can provide. Do you all have any final words before we say goodbye?
Of course I do. I think that, to move the needle forward in any realm that we are trying to create change, it's about collaboration and working together. And I say that repeatedly daily in the work that we do. I don't want to do it alone. We can't do it alone, but together with others' help, that we can create this shift of ideas, a shift of change. And Voc Rehab and the staffing and the skilled staff available, it's important to be included in learning about the different aspects and how it affects people's lives and existing companies, and also the excitement of owning your own business. It wasn't a personal goal of mine. It was actually an idea from my former boss. And I hope that through listening to this and sharing of this information, that counselors will get yet another understanding of how they can be a part in navigating and creating opportunities and change that will impact, our country, our world.
Beautiful.
I'm going to just kind of echo from what Lorraine has said and what Bernadette has said. Collaboration as a counselor to other counselors is definitely part of the success, because each person's caseload and exposure to different disabilities and different situations is different. And also just knowing your community, knowing your resources, knowing your providers are all going to be really important to you being able to effectively serve different people and different needs. And sometimes it can be a little tough to realize the impact that you have on somebody, because we do have ever-growing caseloads that we're trying to navigate through. But just keeping that person, when you're with them, and just understanding that the services that you're providing and the support that you're providing and the interaction that you're providing are going to have a dramatic impact on how they see themselves and how they represent people with disabilities in the employment community, in addition to just the community in general. So I'm just so glad that this series is being put together as a resource for other counselors, as a resource for people with disabilities to know that just because there's a barrier, there are creative solutions, and you might have to think outside the box and have a lot of patience, but it can get done.
Thank you, Linda. Bernadette, do you have anything else to add?
Just thank you. I mean, I can't thank, I'm just grateful. I really am, Linda, and I'll never forget, meeting you for the first time. I know you have a million of me's, but I have one of you.
You're the
You know-
only Bernadette.
Oh, well, that makes me feel special. You know, I really I'm very grateful and I'm excited to see what the future holds for me. So thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, and we will all talk soon.